Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Nilah supplementary guide, and today we're going to be talking about Nilah jungle. Now we haven't actually covered Nilah in lane yet because I'm not going to lie to you guys, I haven't really found many suitable matches to be playing Nilah in the current meta and the current patch, because Nilah is a very specific counter pick that you don't want to play into just any team. You want to be able to play it against some auto attackers, especially to kind of counter them. So I haven't really been able to play her in lane just yet, but I have gotten an auto-filled jungle, as you guys can see in this video, and the build for Nilah jungle is quite different from Nilah in the lane. So let's go through it. Quite a lot of number of changes. Mainly it's the lethality items for strike, as well as overgrowth being the differences between Nilah jungle and Nilah lane. So basically, first off, you're going to start off with lethality items in the jungle. You're going to start with the boots of dynamism just for a little bit of AD, as well as the 10 armor pen, and then you're going to go into collector for another 10 armor pen, as well as giving you AD and crit. Now death and taxes passive, not the most important on Nilah, because she doesn't really have many instances of small damage, unlike champions like Samira and Misfortune, but it's really mainly just for the crit plus lethality combo, which is why you're going for collector as a first item. So at this point you have like 20 armor pen, and that's kind of where you want to start off the game. So then you're going to go into Bloodthirster as usual. It's going to give you a lot of nice stats, especially when you're high on health, and also the physical vamp. Then of course you have IE for your increase in crit damage, as well as your just raw AD, and then more reminder of course for the armor pen and the grievous wounds. Last item is really flexible. You could go for a lot of different options. Nilah is also a melee champion, so you could go of course for Guardian Angel. You do of course have the option of things like Sterix. You also have Death Dance, because as a melee champion you get the full benefits from Death Dance. You can also go for Spirit Visage, because you do have a lot of healing and shielding in your kit, so Spirit Visage is kind of insane. Of course you could also go for that Maw, if you prefer that one, where it is the Maw. There we go, Maw, items like that depending on what you need. So for Nilah jungle, I like to go for First Strike. Of course, this is reliant on your burst damage, because when Nilah goes for ganks with the lethality and with the first strike, she can kind of burst people down. It's kind of a different playstyle from Nilah in lane, which I'll talk a little bit more about in the gameplay. And then I'm also going for Gathering Storm. Now, Gathering Storm is not great on AD champions, but honestly, Brutal is just not that good on Nilah, especially in the jungle where you don't really auto attack champions all that much, and a lot of your damage actually comes from spells, believe it or not. So actually I think Gathering Storm is probably better. You could go for Triumph as well, but I think Gathering Storm is just a little bit more consistent. Then we of course have Giant Slayer here, just to counter the tanks. Of course we have Alacrity for more attack speed, and Sudden Impact after that rework, which is basically a nerf. I think just going for Overgrowth is just better, because with jungle of course you kill a lot of monsters and you get a ton of free health. And of course spells is going to be Flash and Smite, because obviously as the jungler you don't have any other option. And with all that said, now let's talk about our gameplay. Okay, so let's take a look at the gameplay now. As you guys may or may not know, jungle is my maybe worst role in the game. It's definitely my fifth choice role. So what I do every time when I get jungle is I'm going to ward the opposite buff that I'm starting with the control ward, and then recall, switch to sweeper, and then go to the opposite side buff, which is a classic jungle trick. So I'm not gonna lie, at the beginning of this game I was a little bit tilted, because I literally tried to swap role with everybody else in the game, and of course no one wanted to swap with me. It's not really a big surprise. Jungle is a not very popular role in general, so most people or I can't say most people, because there are a lot of jungle mains out there, but if you're not a jungle main, it's generally the role you kind of don't want to play the most, because it's the most different from other roles, because you're farming jungle camps and ganking instead of playing a lane, right? So same goes for me. I kind of rather play any other lane other than jungle, literally. But sometimes you got no choice. You do get the autofill, and you guys know my philosophy when I get autofill. I'm not gonna play a quote-unquote real jungler, although some people do consider Nilah a real jungler. I'm gonna play a champion that I'm familiar with, because no point of me playing a champion that I don't really know how to play, or don't really know the damages and the tankiness of, and then I just make plays where I don't really know whether or not I can actually get the kill, or can I survive. So I have no knowledge of that, and I don't really like that. So I'm gonna play a champion I can play. So I'm playing Nilah. Nilah is that kind of not early game. It's gonna be the early power farming jungler, is what I'm trying to say. When you're only really good in the mid to late game, when you hit maybe 3 items or so, is kind of where you really want to start looking for fights. So in the meantime, all you really want to do is you want to kind of full clear and just look for opportunistic ganks, which is kind of why it's a little bit counter or rather Nunu kind of counters his playstyle because he's an early game ganking jungler. So you can see here he has already ganked Victor, and Victor has died as a result. Now honestly, there's not really much I can really do here. I'm really weak in the early game. I can't really fight, whereas Nunu is a very strong ganking jungler who's now getting off a gank onto Jax. And all I can really do is kind of just power farm and wait until like 10 minutes plus into the game when I hit my spike. So she is kind of useless a little bit in that sense. However, you will notice that we are building lethality and getting first strike in the jungle now. Why is this the case? Well, basically in lane, I think the burst build is just, it's okay, don't get me wrong, it's okay, but it's just not as good as the sustain build because you do have a lot of opportunities to trade and DPS, whereas in the jungle, you don't really trade and DPS with anybody. You're playing PvE majority of the time against jungle camps, and when you actually gank, you definitely are looking for a kill or you're looking, you know, to blow sums or, you know, that's a deal, and as a result, I think the first strike lethality build in the jungle is actually way better because with that, you are able to get off opportunistic ganks, pick up kills, and snowball more quickly. Here I was trying to get a counter gank off in the mid lane, but Victor is already kind of too low for me to really do anything here. The skull has been taken by by Nunu in the bot lane, and I actually thought he went for top lane skull, which is why I actually recalled and went for the bot lane skull, but it turns out that I just simply got outplayed by him, and he actually got both skulls somehow. I'm still not quite sure how that happened, but I'm only going to assume that he actually didn't do bot lane skull, did top lane skull instead. And then went to do bot lane skull later on or something to that effect. But yeah, I'm still clueless. I'm getting completely out jungled, which is no real surprise here considering I don't really play the jungle. However, here is my opportunistic gank. I go in, I ult both targets. The Caitlyn ult comes in, Caitlyn picks up a double, gets engaged on by Nunu, and here there's no point of me hitting the Nunu here because we are not going to be able to kill him anyway. He has Aftershock that he has proc, he's full of HP, so in this case I'm not even going to bother to trade back onto the Nunu. I also didn't have first strike, so I can't farm any first strike gold, so there's literally no point attacking Nunu at all. I literally just walk away and go back to my jungler farm. So my camps are back up, and the golden rule of playing a farming jungler is when your camps are up, you want to farm instead of gank. Now you can, of course, ignore this rule when you're like 3 items in, but if you're like, you know, Shyvana, you know, Nilah, you know, Graves, these kind of farming junglers, you do want to go for your camps over ganks, unless the gank is so free that like your team is getting dove and enemies are tanking tower shots and is literally free. Otherwise, you always want to prioritize jungle camps because jungle camps is guaranteed gold. I mean, unless there's an enemy jungler waiting for you in a bush and coming to kill you while you farm your camps. Otherwise, it's literally free gold that no one is going to stop you from taking. And you definitely want to make sure that you kill the camps as soon as they spawn or as soon as possible. Of course, this will put them on cooldown and they'll respawn faster. And in the long run, you're going to get a lot more gold this way. So you can see I clear my red side and now I'm going to blue side. I'm going to clear my blue side. I spot a very low Nunu here, which is why I'm coming over the wall. I tried to catch him out, but he unfortunately flashes away before I could hit my ult. A little bit unfortunate there, and of course I don't have my flash because I already used it in the gank in bot lane. So Nunu is able to escape and I kind of blow my ult relatively needlessly. Both objectives are coming up at the moment. And here I'm just completing my blue buff, and of course I ideally want the Herald. The Herald is obviously the more valuable objective, and it looks like Nunu is actually doing the dragon, so I'm getting off the Herald, popping the sweeper to ensure that there is no vision here of me doing the Herald. However, you can see that I basically have only just I'm only about a quarter way through the Herald, and Nunu's already done with the dragon. He's snowballing his way up here, and I'm realizing I'm in a spot of bother here. Now Victor is trying his best to kind of distract Nunu from the objective, and he is trading onto Nunu, which gives me a little bit of time to try to burst down the objective before Nunu comes. I thankfully am able to get the smite here as my smite just comes off cooldown, and I'm able to pick up the objective. And I kind of want to hightail it out of there because no real opportunity to really plonk down the Herald at that stage, and I can reset, get myself into a better position, and look for an opportunity to put down the Herald. Now, it's only 6 minutes in the game. You don't have to put it down now, but you definitely want to do it before plates fall off at 7:30 because that's where the value of the Herald comes from, being able to help you to get free plates. So while I'm waiting for something to happen, I misclicked my W there, by the way. I'm just farming the Raptors here. I spot, I believe it's Nunu that's coming in here. So I'm face checking the bush, nothing actually here. I put down the Herald, so me and Victor should be able to share some plates, but Victor actually recalls out of plate range, so I actually get all of the plate gold, which of course is helpful for me to scale up. And I guess Victor just doesn't have the doesn't have that benefit. In fact, Victor dies to Nunu instead, which is definitely not what we wanted. And here I'm just again back to just clearing my jungle. It's a pretty boring playstyle to play a farming jungler, which is basically the only kind of jungle that I play. I basically play like, you know, the Nilahs and the Graves of the World. I mean, I tried Kindred a decent amount. I wasn't too amazing at it. Once again, people flash away from me. This time I'm gonna slow smite and chase down the Zeri to get the kill. Now I'm trying to save my Karma from Pantheon, but Karma can't dodge, so unfortunately Pantheon is able to pick up the kill, and I'm not really in a position to like chase him down and kill him because he's way too close to the tower, so it's not gonna happen. Here I'm back. I pick up my collector into a Vamp Scepter as my blue side camps have respawned, and I'm going to the blue side to, of course, get some farming done. So here, I'm just going to, of course, just pick up my camps. Obviously, blue buff is still down. I'm just going to go for the Gromp. And, yeah, just power farming it up. Looking at the gold situation, now you can see I'm 1-0-1. I have like about 6k gold in the game. And, of course, the most gold in the game currently is the Pantheon, who has 7k plus. But Zeri and Caitlyn are also kind of at 6k gold. So I am kind of competing in terms of the goal just through farming, and that's kind of really the message I wanted to get across, which is that good farming does give you, good goal. So here, enemy jungle takes the skull, and here a huge fight is breaking out. I'm going in with the ulti. I don't really do very much damage with the ulti, but I do get a little bit of first strike gold. And yeah, you can see at one item I'm not really very useful yet, although I do have my double lethality and first strike combo, so I will be doing something, but it's not a lot. So here we pick up the kill onto Aatrox with the help of the collector. Ulti is blocked by Nunu. Here I don't really have my flash, so I have to dash over the wall. Can't really complete the kill there. Nunu is getting run down at the moment. I pop the W for the movement speed, but Nunu is able to eventually escape, slowing us with his E as well as running away. Here I'm checking the enemy jungle for camps. No camps to be taken there, unfortunately, so can't really counter jungle, but we do get the jungle timers of the Nunu, because if you walk past, you will pick up his jungle timer, and when the respawn happens, you will know about it. So possible counter jungling opportunity if he goes to the other side of the map while his camps are respawning, although I don't think that's very likely. He looks like he's going from red side to blue side for him, so he should be there when his blue buff respawns. And speaking of respawns, my Raptors and my Crux respawn, so I'm going to go for those. Once again, a not very exciting gameplay so far, but you can see we're 2-0-2, right? So we're just consistent in terms of that. Fight breaks out here. I'm just hitting Nunu since I can hit him for free, dashing through him to get off a good ulti. But my team is all standing nearby, but no one kind of follows up, so I kind of end up basically looking like I'm inting there by just jumping into the enemy team by myself, and yeah. So in the overall state of the game, we are kind of even. We're actually, both teams are like almost perfectly even in terms of gold and kills and towers and the like. So it's a very, very close game. I am able to pick up my Bloodthirster, of course my next major power spike. Of course Dragon is up, and here I'm trying to take the Hex Portal over to the Dragon to attempt to steal it. However, the enemy team secures the Dragon already before I even reach the area. Unfortunately, Victor is in the pit, and no one is really gonna save him. And the same can be said for Jax. Here I try to help out Jax, and I try to, basically get something done. However, I think I made a huge mistake here because I didn't have ult. I previously ulted and died, and my ult is not yet off of cooldown. I thought we could clean up some kills there, but in reality that is not really the case, and my whole team is kind of dying. Of course, 3 of us already dead, and Nunu is chasing onto the Caitlyn, who is rooted and has nowhere to go. It gets run down by Zeri. Karma is the last champ standing, gets run down under tower, dies as well. So essentially it's an unofficial ace for the enemy team, with Victor just respawning, and the goal is really swinging in their direction, because obviously when both teams are even and a fight like that happens, obviously it's going to swing the game in one way or another, and in this case it swung the game over to the enemy team, which is definitely not the intended outcome. So here I'm going back to farming. Aatrox is trying to run some interference, as is Zeri. I guess they're just leashing the buff for me, seeing as I have smites. Jax goes into the fight in a 1v3 for some reason, and I don't really want to participate in this fight. We get rooted by Morgana here, and Caitlyn is now coming. It looks like it's kind of almost becoming a full-on fight, although there's really nothing to fight over, and I really want to continue on farming here because my camps are all respawning, but I know that if I ditch my team, there is a possibility that they all just, they all just die and the game situation gets even worse. So we actually come over and try to make a play, but nothing really happens aside from Victor getting rooted, and yeah, really nothing happens. So we basically just end up wasting a lot of time walking around, which is kind of what we didn't really want to do, but that's kind of just what happened anyway. We are still really, really good on farm though. Although we just died twice, we are still kind of keeping up. 9k farm for us now. Very competitive with, the enemy team. I mean, we are 1k goal behind the Zeri and the Pantheon. Almost 2k goal behind the Pantheon, actually. But it's still, kind of competitive. Considering we honestly are not doing very much. We're just trying to farm it up to 3 items. And we're at 2 items there already, so we are getting there, but just not quite. So here my team, as I feared, gets into a random fight in the top lane whilst I'm in the bot side farming my jungle. Obviously, people are just pinging me, but like, why are we really fighting here? And the fact that they all died means that the enemy team is probably going to be able to get Baron. Now I'm trying to portal over there to maybe run some interference. Pantheon is waiting for me, so I'm instantly going to pop my W when he comes. I basically dodge, and then I dash behind him, ult, and I'm basically just trying to one-shot him. I do get the one-shot onto him, however, the rest of his team is able to cover up and kill him. Victor gets the kill onto the Morgana and doesn't really move the ulti, although it's quite unlikely that he chases down the Aatrox, so we do have that. So here, at this point, we are 3-3-3. We do have, again, a decent amount of farm, and we are doing pretty alright. We actually have the most goal on our team. Victor gets caught out a little bit by Aatrox. Aatrox is running him down under the tower. Tries to outplay by running under the tower, but Aatrox uses the flash and is able to pick up the kill onto Victor. Of course, here, Baron is still the main objective that's up that enemy team is probably going to want to try to get, considering they have a decent lead now. Now at this point, I complete my IE, and this is where the game changes, and as I said, it's when you hit like 3 items where Nilah becomes really strong. And now we are, of course, ready to fight and looking to fight. You can see one auto does like 600 plus damage to the ground, and we are starting to hurt. Fight is definitely going to happen here. I'm just waiting in the wings for enemy team to make a mistake or to engage onto someone more valuable. Here we go into the back line with the ulti. Here I'm going to run down, or attempting to run down the Aatrox. Still full health, didn't take too much damage. Waiting for my cooldowns to come back while I'm just hovering around the fight. Here we go, trying to go for the Aatrox here. We get the kill onto him. We're going onto the Zeri, who's a very valuable target. We kill her, and then now onto the rest of the enemy team. And you can see the game literally changes when Nilah hits 3 items. That's when you really become strong, and you can see that at this point I've wiped them out, and now we can go onto the Baron. So here, now with the entire enemy team aced, it's a free Baron, for us. And also there is Infernal Dragon that's up. Here we are rushing there because the enemy respawns are already coming through, so no time to really reset. We have to really DPS down the dragon. Thankfully with myself and Caitlyn, we should be able to get this dragon before it really gets contested. But just in case, you can see I'm actually hugging this wall because if Nunu rolls in, I don't want to be the one who's hit by the snowball, and I can easily dash over the wall to safety if required. So here we deny their dragon soul, and now we are able to get off a good recall. So here we sell our lethality boots, and we're actually going for armor boots here because majority of the enemy team's damage is physical. Of course, we have Zeri and Pantheon, who are the most fed, who does physical damage. Aatrox as well. Nunu's building tank, and so he's not going to do a lot of damage. And Morgana started off with Rylai, so she's not going to do a lot of damage either, at least for the moment. So mainly physical damage on their team right now. So that's what we're itemizing towards the countering. We probably will go for a Death's Dance if we reach last item as well. So now with the Baron, our job is to try to leverage this Baron to push down some towers and maybe get off a good fight and win the game if the enemy team makes like a mistake or anything like that. But for now, we're just roaming into their jungle. My whole team is here, and here I'm looking to go onto the Aatrox. Aatrox flashes away, so we're not really going to be able to get him. And in the meanwhile, in the mid lane, another fight kind of breaks out. I still have my ulti and my flash, so I'm definitely just looking for opportunities here. Aatrox is engaged on by Jax once more. My first strike gets removed by Zeri, unfortunately. And Jax picks up the tower. So now we're pushing in on all 3 lanes, looking to get triple inhib, or like at least double inhib. Now Jax is focusing the top lane tower, and enemy team is completely split as to where to protect, and they end up losing all 3 of the inhibs. I think they had to commit like all members to like one lane to at least defend one inhib, but they split themselves up, and with the Baron we are able to push them down. Jax actually randomly recalls here. Now, honestly, I don't think... Okay, I think that there's two ways to see it, right? Either Jax made a mistake by ditching his team, or his team made a mistake by continuing to stay there even after all three inhibs were secured. Now, there's two ways you want to see it, whatever which way you want to see it. It's kind of what it is, because honestly, we should just back off after getting all three inhibs. We can't really end the game then and there anyway, so there's really no point staying there. So technically Jax wasn't wrong, but you know, when your whole team stays there and you back it, you are kind of in the wrong at the same time. Anyways, at this point, with the farming of these crops, we have basically enough to pick up more reminder, which is what we do here. So now we're at 4 items, 100% crit, and at this point is where Nilah really shines. Of course, Nilah is an insane scaler. You know, even all the crit items and such give her more lifesteal, give her more armor penetration because of the passive on her Q. So this is really like the final form Nilah. Of course, not really the final form because we still have the 5th item to complete. But it's pretty much really close already. So now both Elder and Baron are spawning literally almost at the same time. They're like 3 seconds apart only. So here I'm just trying to set up for Elder. Obviously Elder is the more premium objective. And here Jax is getting off a split push. Now somehow Jax has gone to a point where he's so ahead that he's 1v2ing the Aatrox and the Pantheon. He actually kills the Pantheon after Pantheon attempted to flash away, and now he's killing the Aatrox. And at this point, the enemy team has an issue. Elder Dragon is spawning, and if they don't contest, we are gonna get Elder, they probably die. But if they contest, Jax is gonna end the game. So they have no choice but to take the lesser of the two evils, which is to let Jax contest. And here we zone Nunu away from the Elder Dragon. Jax eventually does end up falling, but he has done his job. He has put on so much pressure on the enemy team that he has given his team a free Elder Dragon. So we have 4 Elders on our team. We have 3 people dead on the enemy team. Only Zeri and Morgana are left alive, and with that, this gives us a free Baron. I mean, almost no chance of a steal here. We have Caitlyn over the wall just to check whether anyone's coming. We get the smite onto the Baron. We have both Elder and Baron at this point, and of course, with that, enemy team also has no inhibs left. So with that, this should be like a guaranteed win at this point in time. Even if we throw and everyone dies here, the enemy team still can't even end, and we're gonna end up having to go for more fights if that's the case. Of course, we don't want that to be the case, so we want a clean end to the game. Unfortunately, I have no range, so I can't actually hit the Nexus. Pantheon is coming in, trying to pop him, but here I'm going in with the flash ulti. I have a huge shield there, 300 first strike gold, but surprisingly I only end up killing Aatrox. Here Nunu, yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing, he's going down. And here at this point the game is basically won. I'm trying to kill Zeri before we end the game, but Zeri's actually doing a ton of damage, and I have to pop my W to save myself, and we do end up getting the dub here. So as usual, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.